Hello, I'm Dr. Elizabeth Heavey, and we are back for more fun with Statistics for Nursing, Chapter 5. We're going to have some content this time that will pull a little bit of Chapter 1 back into our focus. We are going to start by talking about sampling methods. Remember when we talked in Chapter 1 about populations, and the population is the larger group that's alike in some dimensions that are being studied by the researcher. From that large group, we create a sample, and the reason is that we cannot study the entire large group. So we gather data from the smaller sample and generalize it back to the original population. We can do that as long as our sample is representative of our original population. Our representative sample contains the same attributes as our population in about the same proportion as they occur in the population. Then we have a good sample. Now, how we collect our sample depends on our goals and also what type of study we are doing. The sample criteria is the list of required characteristics to be included from the target population. It helps describe the target population because these are the criteria that have to be present in the group we are generalizing the results back to. Also, inclusion and exclusion criteria are included. Exclusion criteria are factors that eliminate the subject from the sample, while inclusion criteria are factors that must be present for the subject to be involved in the study. This table illustrates some inclusion and exclusion criteria for a sample for a study that's being conducted. The sampling method we choose is going to impact what we find from our study and also what we can conclude from the results. The sampling method is the process that we are going to use to select the subjects from the population. I don't want you to assume that a random sampling method was utilized if it's not stated specifically by the researchers. You need to look at how the sample was collected in the study. You've probably heard the expression that statistics can say anything. Well, I could design a study that would tell you that if you wore a blue sweater near a cow, you would get tastier milk than if you wore a purple sweater near the same cow. That's not necessarily the case, however. How I go about creating my sample and how I design the study could give you those results if that's what you are looking for. You really want to make sure that you are sampling so that you can report data that is useful in answering your question. You do not want a situation in which the researcher has a preset idea of what he or she wants to find and sets it up so that he or she does find the sweeter color, the sweater color, impacting milk flavor. Probability sampling is random sampling. In any kind of probability sampling, every member of the population has the same chance of being selected. Probability sampling includes simple random sampling, stratified random sampling, cluster sampling, and systematic sampling. Non-probability sampling does not involve the same opportunity for selection for all of the members of the study population. A non-probability sampling method frequently seen in healthcare is called convenience sampling. Convenience sampling involves asking the people that just happen to be there at the time of the study. We sometimes say the participants were in the right place at the right time. You'll see in this cartoon an example of that. Thanks for doing business with us today. Is there a better way we can serve you in the future? They are asking the survey question to whoever came in that particular day to their business. That's an example of convenience sampling. Quota sampling includes a strategy to ensure inclusion of groups that are likely to be underrepresented. You might want to know the reasons people leave the STEM fields. We know a lot of people are not confident in their math skills, or are female or from minority backgrounds and tend to leave the STEM fields. We want to make sure our sample includes the groups that have left, because if we just interview the people working in STEM fields, we aren't going to hear from the group that's no longer there. In this case, you might decide to set up a quota sampling survey, so you ensure that you have the underrepresented groups in your sample. You will notice in both convenience sampling and quota sampling, there's nothing random being done. This is non-probability sampling. That doesn't mean that it's not valid or okay to do. It just has limitations that you need to know about. Non-probability sampling can be done in qualitative research as well. One example of this is purposeful sampling. The researchers select subjects to include because they are information-rich cases. The subject knows what's going on and has a lot of background that they can share with you. You might decide to do your purposeful sampling and interview all the captains of athletic teams because they are considered a rich source of information for what's happening on their team. Network sampling uses social networks that share characteristics that you're trying to learn more about. It can be useful in obtaining samples in groups that are hard to reach. Network sampling might be helpful when you're interviewing gang members in a particular study because you want to know what brought them into the gang and why they stayed in the gang. Network sampling involves having one gang member refer you to another, so other gang members talk to you as well. One person refers another, and the next person refers another. Network sampling can assist with gathering subjects from groups that are hard to reach. That's the short and sweet version of Chapter 5, so go ahead and spend some time going through it.